Do you love this game?
Yes.
Do you want to be in the NBA? Yes!
Hello everyone and welcome to SnailTV. The hero of today's retelling is the drama and comedy Hustle of 2022. Stanley Sugarman has been traveling the world for 30 years in search of basketball talents. He lives in hotels and airports, eats junk food, doesn't see his wife and daughter for months, and looks at hundreds of bad players, hoping that at least one of them will not have to be crossed off the list of potential newcomers to the team. Stanley comes to Serbia to see a good player of big guy. But unfortunately, it turns out that a 22-year-old basketball player has a 10-year-old son. Such situations are repeated many times. Stan travels the world searching for a player, but everyone has some gems that won't let him get into the NBA. And finally, happiness comes. Stanley's team director and a longtime friend offered him a coaching position. And that means no more business trips and the job Stanley dreamed of. Now our new coach has his office. In conclusion, an old friend said the saying, "Not a step back," which will help a man. Unfortunately, the director dies on this day. Stan literally the next day goes out to train, but after a short visit to the gym, Vince Marek, the son of Stan's deceased friend, calls him. The arrogant son takes his dead father's place and wants Stanley to start being a sports scout again. The team needs another player. If a man finds him, he can return to the coach. Stanley is forced to agree and goes to Spain. Already in the evening, he wanted to play basketball. He found a playground, but it was already occupied. There was a game going on where Stanley spotted one great player. He's tall, he plays professionally, he's a real nugget for the NBA. After the game, the guy gets on the bus, and Stanley hurries to catch up with him. The young man goes to his home, and Sugarman follows him around. He's standing near the gate of the house. A guy immediately flies out, clearly ill-disposed. But Stanley immediately tries to explain everything. Fortunately, they settled everything, as he proved that he was an NBA pioneer looking for a player. The guy's name is Bo Cross. They sit at a table at their house, and Stan asks about Bo's life from the beginning. His mother said that a gym coach advised him to take up a basketball when he was 10 years old. She also said that their father had left their family. Bo himself has a daughter. Their family wondered how much they pay to participate in basketball sports, to which Stanley replied $900,000. The next day, Stanley invited Bo to warm up at the basketball gym. He was filmed, and after that, Sugarman called Vince Marek and said that he had found a nugget, but he didn't like that the guy had not played real basketball for 8 years. Vince doesn't want to see Bo, but Stanley has plans for the boy. They go on a plane that flies to Philadelphia. After landing, problems begin. Bo cannot pass through customs control. It turns out that he has a note about the attack aggravating. Stanley asked his friend to say a good word, but Bo needed to be quieter than water and lower grass. For the slightest offense, he can go to court. Bo checked into the hotel, and Stanley said there would be a game soon, and he needed to get ready. He was watching Wings play. From the beginning of the game, the emotional pressure on Bo from the opponent begins. At first, the guy showed himself very well, but Bo became increasingly weak with her continuation. Vince saw everything and thought he was convinced of his expectations. On the street at the end of the game, Vince came out and told Stanley everything, to which Stanley sent him and quit. Bo, losing faith in himself, is sitting in the gym. Sugarman comes and motivates him. 4 hours and 5 minutes in the morning, Stanley woke Bo up for his morning workout. They arrived at a long street that needed to be run in 1 minute and 45 seconds. It isn't easy, and they still have much training to do. Sugarman brought his daughter to the training, who would shoot Bo to remove the guy's actual skill. He had tattoos of his daughter and mother on his right arm and chest, and he said he kept his left hand empty for his father, since he meant nothing to him. After the exercises, it turns out that 3 guys attacked Bo in full force and hit them only a couple of times. This is an excellent result. Also, Stan teaches the guy not to be overly vulnerable. Now Sugarman tells the young man to score 3-point shots and run up and down the stands for every miss. Stan realized it was too easy to upset Bo with offensive words and began using them during the guy's throw. If he doesn't focus on them, then he will play better. Training is over and Stan comes home. There his wife cooked food for Bo so as not to spend $200 on chips alone. The man also says that he quit the 76ers. Teresa is a wife, very angry with her husband because they may not have much money left soon, but they still need to feed their daughter. Stan also recently gave $500 to Bo's mother to eat. The time is 3:30 in the morning. Sugarman came to Bo's room and woke him up for another morning workout. When they arrived at the place, the guy asked what was wrong with Stanley's arm, to which he said not to waste time but to train. A period of hard training began, thanks to which Bo achieved good results in physical form. The young man came to dinner at the Sugarman's. The guy asked about the acquaintance of Teresa and Stanley. My wife told me that she was on the athletics team and they had a tournament at the Hungarian Polytechnic. And at that time, there was a basketball match between men's teams. The girls' bus broke down and they had to go with the guys. Stanley was sitting next to Teresa and was silent all the way. And when she got off the bus, Sugarman got up and shouted that she would be his wife. When Stan went to make coffee, his friend Leon called him and said he had not told him all the information about Bo. Therefore, the man could not push the guy to the game. By the way, Wentz is shown on the NBA news, where he says that Bo will not be on the 76ers team because he has a criminal record. The guy got very angry and decided to leave. Sugarman goes after him, and they talk about their past together. Stan told how he got into an accident and stretched out his hand so that his friend would not fly out through the windshield, and because of this, his hand turned into mincemeat. He tries to keep Bo so he can play, but one problem after another appears. The Sugarman family is trying to help. Their daughter suggested allowing Bo to know as many people as possible. One video, which shows a young man, has almost 2 million views. They come to the basketball court and announce that they give $50 for hitting the ring, $100 for shooting, and the one who defeats Bo in the game by up to 5 points, one-on-one, will get $1,000. The guy wants to ensure his coach doesn't spend money, which helps. Nobody can beat Bo. He plays too well and blocks all the scoring. All this is filmed on video and uploaded to social networks like Bo Cruz Challenge. The guy began to be recognized by more and more people. He became mega famous. The news announces that Bo Cruz got into the combine. They ask him which team he will play for, and Stan replies that he did not play for the 76ers. And so the day comes before an actual event in Bo's life. Stanley flew to Paula and Lucia to reunite Bo with his family and boost his fighting spirit. Bo goes to the game, and Stanley advises on a successful match. Cruz's mother and daughter are sitting in the stands. This time he was able to withstand the harsh comments of Kermit Wills, but lose his temper when his rival began to comment on his daughter. In anger, he pushed Wills to the floor and was about to hit him in the face. Stanley has already become disillusioned with his career and that of a young man. Bo was sorry about what had happened, and it was time for him to return to Spain with his family. Cruz's mother explained to her son that Stanley was nothing but an oak tree in his life for him. He was the one who saved him and helped him become the player he became. Stanley takes Bo to the airport. Their friends say goodbye, but Leon calls him and asks him to take Bo to the game with him. It was an open game, a last-minute decision. Stanley managed to get Bo back before he boarded his flight, and they hurried to the game. This was his last chance, and he wasn't ready to let anyone influence him. He managed to fight back against the harsh insults and statements of Kermit Whittles and win the game. Stanley noticed that Vince's sister had come to watch the game. They both had a friendly relationship, and she reported that Vince messed up with the team's management, and she came to fix it. Meanwhile, the Boston Celtics were impressed with Bo and wanted to set up a meeting with him. 5 months later, we learned that Stanley has been hired again as an assistant coach of the 76ers team. Bo is currently playing for the Boston Celtics. Although they belong to 2 different teams, they respect and love each other equally. Bo wore the number 22 jersey to tribute to Stanley, who played under the same number. The guy has a new tattoo on his arm with the inscription "Never Give Up," and under it is an oak tree. After spending a few months with Stanley, he became nothing more than a father to him, and his tattoo meant immense place in his life. At the film's end, we're shown the beginning of the game between the 76ers and the Boston Celtics. It was an American drama, the comedy Hustle, on the SnailTV channel. Put likes, leave comments, subscribe, and we'll be back soon with a new exciting retelling.
Who's this?
It's my son.
It's your son.
Yes.
He's 10 years old? Okay.